Welcome to Lock It Down Sports. I'm your host, Locke Hoover, and as always, you can follow me on Twitter at Lock It Up Media. That's Lock It Up Media on Twitter. You can also check us out at E5280 Sports. That's E5280 Sports. And today on the show, when is enough when it comes to streaming? The most dominant college football conference once again shows its muscle, and this college football coach speaks out, well, kind of speaks out about NIL. We'll get into all that, but first, we're at the quarter pole of the Major League Baseball season. And there haven't been a lot of surprises to me. I mean, the NL East, I thought going into it was going to be a two-team race, and that's still where we're at with Braves and Phillies. Braves and Phillies squaring off, and Braves are 2 games back. And also about this is really important for the Phillies. And here's why I tell you this: the Phillies are an incredibly easy, soft stretch in their schedule. Not their fault. You play your schedule, you play the teams when you play them, how they're presented to you. That's no fault of their own. That's just how it's laid out, and that's how it currently is. But they've only played one team over 500. And who was that? That was the Braves. When was that? The opening series. They lost 2 out of 3. That's the last time they played a team with a record over 500. So keep that in mind. Also, the Braves have been struggling. And you say, how are they struggling? They're 2 games back. The offense has not got going. Acuna, struggling. Matt Olson, struggling. Sean Murphy on the IL since opening day. Austin Riley, banged up a little bit with the shoulder, and he's struggling. Not off to good starts. But the only offensive guy that the Braves have right now consistently is Marcell Ozuna. Ozzy's swinging a good bat, and Travis d'Arnaud. Outside of that, you've got Arcia, okay. Jared Kelenic, okay. But that's what they are. That's fine. They're okay Major League Baseball players, and that's fine. That's who they are, but they're not Riley, Olson, and Acuna, who are struggling. Michael Harris, swinging it okay. All that to say, the Braves are 2 games back. It'll be a back and forth, I think, all year with the Braves and with the Phillies. But, it's really a 2-man race, and that's where it's at. Central to me, Brewers are still the favorite, up 2 on the Cubs. Cubs are okay. But we'll see. I still like the Reds, though. I know they're 7.5 out, and they've struggled a little bit out of the gate. Was a sneaky, fun potential playoff team coming into this season, but they're 7.5 out. I know it's not even Memorial Day yet, but it's getting close to that time where they need to start making up some ground, because 7.5's a lot. But I do like the Brewers still in the division. I thought they were the best team coming in, and right now they're up 2 in the Cubs. NL West, not the biggest surprise here. The Dodgers, 7.5 up over San Diego, and then 8 over Arizona and 10 over the Giants. Obviously, LA is really good. I don't have to tell you about their top of the lineup with Betts, Freeman, and Shohei, Will Smith. I think one of the really keys for them is to continue to add a little bit of depth to that lineup. If Teoscar Hernandez can continue to swing pretty well, and then Muncy get his average up a little bit. Yeah, he's a power hitter, but he's a power hitter, a 210 hitter. He walks, gets on base, but there's a lot of holes in his swing when you're around 200 hitter. if he could hit 240, 250, that'd be a big bump for them to extend that lineup as deep as 6 with Teoscar and Muncy to go along with that top 4 in that lineup. So that's really a key for them. Obviously, they're getting guys back. Kershaw, hopefully after the All-Star break. Walker Buehler's working himself out. And then with their staff as well, Tyler Glasnow, it's funny, no one has been talking about this anywhere. What are they going to do with him? Glasnow, he's only pitched 120 innings. It's his career high. His career high 120 innings. He's going to run past that well before the playoffs if things work out the way they want them to. Or are they going to have some phantom DL stints with him? He's got a nicked up shoulder and try to keep him to 150 innings. Still, that right there is 30 more innings than he's ever pitched. Say that 150 regular season innings. That's not even counting what they hope to be a deep run in the playoffs. So it's really interesting what they're going to do with him. There's been no talk anywhere of, because he's throwing the ball great. But at the same time, there is some questions. I mean, you saw Braves fans. So it happened with Bryce Elder. 177 innings was his career high. And that blew past how many innings Tyler Glasnow has thrown. And he's been in big leagues for 7, 8 years. There's something to that. No one's talking about it yet. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Dodge, like I said, D-backs, I still like the Snakes here making the playoffs and their pitching staff. They're nicked up right now with Corbin Carroll struggling mightily. I think he's been around 200 after a phenomenal rookie year. Merrick Kelly on the IL, and then so is Eduardo Rodriguez. He's also banged up as well. So that's 2 guys on their pitching staff. Jordan Montgomery's just now getting back. He's been back a little bit now, but he's getting the groove of the swing of things. So that's who I like. Padres, a little bit better than I expected. Obviously, I thought Soto, but Justin Profar right now, wow, swinging it, and that's been a huge lift for the Padres, and they've needed that mightily. I'm not buying the Giants. Just their offense is not. Yeah, I know they made upgrades with Soler, who's on the IL right now, and then you got Matt Chapman and Lee, and I think Lee's a little nicked up right now as well. But yeah, they made offensive improvements. They've got Logan Webb who can really throw it. Good pitcher, he's their ace. But I'm not buying the Giants at all. I like the Snakes getting out of there as being another wild card as it currently stands. Now the AL East, I still believe this is wide open as the O's and the Yanks are tied. Red Sox are 5.5 out. Surprisingly, they played good baseball. They've been able to pitch. Those guys, boy, oh boy, they've been able to throw it. One of the top half in the league in ERA. Although their offense, that's why I'm not believing them. Yeah, they can pitch, but I don't know if they've got enough offensively to make a run. I mean, Rafael Devers, that's really it. That's Tyler O'Neill. He's swung it pretty okay. But outside of that, their offense is lacking. Now it's hurt with Tristan Casa getting hurt. He's supposed to come back at some point. But that's a loss. And then they get the Rays 7 out, which that surprised me a little bit with Tampa. But I'm not counting the Rays out because, look, they find a way. They're written off all the time, every single year regardless. So I'm not counting the Rays out. And the Blue Jays, I don't know if they're going to be able to pitch enough. They're 8.5 out right now, and their pitching struggling. So they're 25th in Major League Baseball in ERA, 24th in average against, and 24th in WHIP. That's not a good spot to be in at all. Now you get the Central, wide open to me. A lot of decent, okay teams, but not elite. I think it's going to be like last year, where it's going to be all these teams still in it, kind of jostling till August, September. Cleveland's leading division right now, game and a half over the Royals. Cleveland's played well. They can pitch. What they did in Atlanta against Atlanta, yeah, they lost 2 out of 3, but their starting staff, boy, they can pitch. The only thing I am kind of concerned with Cleveland is that their offense again. I mean, you look at that lineup, and outside of Quan, Josh Naylor, and Jose Ramirez, there's a lot of places you can go in that lineup to get outs. Quan's leading off. Ramirez is hitting 2 or 3. Naylor hitting 3 or 4. So, I mean, outside of that, you're golden. And is Quan going to be hitting 350 the whole year? I mean, I don't think he is. If he is, hats off, right? But, I mean, you need someone like Steven Kwan to hit 315, 310, 320, something in that ball game, that realm, because he's not a power hitter. He's not. I don't know if he's going to hit 10 home runs. If he hits 10 home runs, that's a lot for him. So because of that, your Gold Gloves are out and left. So you like that. You like the defense. Decent runner, you're going to get you some steals, but not a burner. So because of that, he's going to have to be a 310, 315, 320 average guy and gets on base. Then it becomes a weapon and a pest. So that's where they are in the Central. And then the Twins, I still like the Twins here. And their pitching staff, they've got a better offense. I think one of the better offenses in that division. They got Ryan Jeffries at catcher DH, mainly catcher, who's swinging it right now. 2 games back currently. And then you got the Kansas City Royals, who game and a half back. Interesting, fun team. Sal Perez swinging it. Bobby Witt doing his thing. Playing phenomenal right now. Cole Reagan at the helm for the starting pitcher. And then all these mid-tier veterans that they signed is, I like what Kansas City did. Like they're in a good spot to kind of go for and make a run. Or if they fall out of it, they can trade some of these mid-tier veterans all at the same time, So it's a good fit for them where they're at. And I like that they spent some money to go and try to be competitive in this Central. Now, the West, I think it started out as a 3-team race, but could quickly turn into a 2-team race. And the Astros, 5.5 back, which isn't bad, but they've got a 17-25 record. Their pitching struggled mightily. Yeah, they've been banged up, but they've struggled mightily as well. And their offense is not as deep as it was in years past at all. I mean, you look at that lineup, and it's not as scary as it was in their run. Verlander's got some underlying numbers that aren't ideal. He's got a pretty solid ERA right now, but the underlying metrics kind of got them on, I would bet, a bit concerned for what he does. But it is Justin Verlander, future Hall of Famer. I mean, I think he's going to figure it out. But right now, that's kind of where the Astros are at. And then the Mariners lead the division with that pitching staff. Incredible starting rotation. And their bullpen ain't too bad either as a staff. They're 8th in ERA, first in whip, first in average against, and fourth in Ks. Very dominant. They can pitch, pitch, pitch. Rangers battling, treading water, hanging in there, game and a half back. And it's like they're waiting for the reinforcements. Scherzer, does DeGrom come back? Those two in particular, reinforcements to get them over the hump to continue to push where they want to go and try to defend their title. So still a lot of baseball left, obviously. Not even Memorial Day, but they just a quarter pole. And that's kind of where the teams, and I think these teams stand in the look of the division as of now, and hasn't really changed my thoughts or opinions. And this is something that really hasn't changed my thoughts or opinions on conferences and star and high school rankings, because those matter. We'll get to that in a bit. But out of the 257 players drafted in the NFL draft, 142 were from the SEC and the Big Ten. So that just shows the continued talent separation and the difference of talent between these two conferences and the other two Power Four conferences. It's not a surprise. You see it. You've seen it a lot. Obviously, this doesn't surprise me either. 14 SEC players were first round picks. 10 Big Ten players were first rounders. The ACC had 50 players drafted. The Big 12 had 25 players drafted. ACC, 5 first round picks, 1 first round pick for the Big Ten. And it's not really a surprise who's leading the conference in the ACC with draft picks. That would be Florida State with 10 and Clemson with 6. That's what you expect. That's what you expect those two to lead the conference. And on any given year, of course, Clemson might be ahead of Florida State when it comes to draft picks and things of that nature. But that's pretty standard, I would almost say, in that realm of draftees and where they stand. Now, like I said, it's not been a surprise who the best two conferences are, the SEC and the Big Ten. Again, showing not outside other than national championships and recruiting rankings and everything else, X amount of years with draft leading the league, the other conferences in draft picks. Once again, the SEC and the Big Ten. And then when it comes to talent, I know they say rankings don't matter. And let me tell you something about that. They do matter. They absolutely do matter. So 14 draft picks were five-star rated kids, as there were 32 5-stars in this recruiting cycle that got drafted. So 5.4% of kids who were 5 stars were drafted. That equals a 43.8% draft rate if you're a 5-star kid. 43.8%, pretty good number to me if you ask me about a percentage being drafted. So 81 4-stars were picked out of the 368 total 4-stars were drafted. So that's a 31.5% clump at a 22% draft rate. Like that, see, those numbers right there, that matters. Yes, the next number, 131 3-stars out of the 2014 2015 were drafted at a 51% clip. So that draft rate drops to 6.5%. And then 2-stars. So 31 2-stars out of the 666 2-stars were drafted for a 12.1% clip for a draft rate of 4.7%. So once again, those draft stars, recruiting stars, they do matter. They give you a glimpse into the talent your college football program is bringing in. So that it really does. It irks me and bothers me when say, "Oh, recruiting rankings don't matter. It's stars. So what? Who cares? It's all development. Blah blah blah." Yeah, I mean, yes, you're wrong, but you're also right. Of course, development matters, and that's what continues to elevate the kids. I mean, look at the 5-stars. A 43.8% draft rate if you're talented enough to be a 5-star ranking. I was all the way to a 3-star kid, a 6.5% draft rate. Yes, there was more total number 3-star kids drafted, obviously, but there's also way more 3-star ranking kids than 5-star ranking kids. Yes, stars matter, but so does the development as well. If you've got an elite talent, you're going to continue to develop him. If you got a marginal talent, you can continue to develop him, and hopefully he gets drafted. So that's stars matter, development matters, it all matters. But there's something to recruiting rankings that I feel like people want to continue to dismiss. And I wish I could dismiss this because I am getting sick and tired of this when it comes to the cost of college football. Let me try that again. Of NFL football. So, annoyingly enough, here is the services you would need if you want to watch every NFL game this season. You would need one of the three: a Fubo, Hulu, or YouTube TV, Prime Video, Peacock, ESPN Plus, and now Netflix. So the cost of that would be $688, around there, depending, and that would fluctuate a little bit depending on if you chose Fubo, Hulu, or YouTube TV services, one of those three streaming services that gets those channels. And like I said, that is if you want to see every team, every game. That doesn't even include if you want to see an out-of-market team. If you live in market, that's what it would cost. If you live out of market, you live in Cleveland and want to see the Falcons. You live in Tampa and you want to see the Arizona Cardinals. Let that cost would bump up to $855.84 per season. And that's saying you won't end up going with YouTube TV and you get the Sunday ticket package. And that doesn't, obviously you got Prime Video for Thursday nights in the wild card games now. Some wild card games, which is ridiculous. Peacock going to be a season opener and potentially more playoff games in the future. Obviously, they had that one off last year. And then you've got ESPN Plus for your international games. And the other money grab, now Netflix signed a 3-year deal to do Christmas games for the NFL. And I'll raise my hand right now. I was wrong when it came to Netflix, thinking they wouldn't get into sports. They've said that. They've dipped their toes in it with and I say quote unquote sports with WWE Raw. But Netflix is going to, these games are going to start before WWE Raw, and they're not going to really know numbers about the Netflix deal other than they're going to see probably a bump in their subscription for that month. But when will it stop? When? Sadly, I don't think it is, and that's frustrating. Unless we just say screw it, we're not going to improve Netflix's subscription rating base for that month, or we're not going to go with Peacock. We're not going to get a Peacock service for that month, or an ESPN Plus service for that month. I'm not doing it until these networks start losing money from these rights games that they've bid on, these one-off games. It's not going to happen. And it's frustrating. And I don't know how people do it. And it can get even more expensive when it comes to the 18 game schedule. That means they're extending it out. And that brings me to the Super Bowl. The one-off of all one-off games. The biggest game. I hope it doesn't go this direction, but why wouldn't a Peacock Plus be like, yeah, we'll do the Super Bowl? Why wouldn't an ESPN Plus, a Netflix? Yeah, we'll do the Super Bowl. We'll give you X amount of dollars or whatever it is, and exclusively stream the Super Bowl pay-per-view, which is like, what's happened? Like, how did we get here? I mean, I know how we got here with all the streaming stuff, but like, something has to give. It has to. Like, when, where, how? Please, it's got to stop. Something that's not going to stop, and I'm really surprised by this, was Boise State's head coach Spencer Danielson has come out in an interview and says he will not be promising or offering NIL deals to recruits or first-year players. He's come out and kind of rephrased what he meant and what he said, but I read that. I had to read that like 3 times saying, wait, what? Is he serious? Like, first off, why would you come out and say that? Especially with where the game of college football is these days. It is the definition of pay for play to its highest regards. Especially since you're a G5 school. You want to be a Power 5 school, not a Power 4 school. You want to get in that Big 12. You do. You're dying to get the Big 12. Or the Big 10, which I don't see the Big 10. I see the most likely spot for you now that the Pac-12 is gone is the Big 12. You're one of the better G5 schools historically in the last few years as well. And you have a good chance to make the college football playoff in this 12-team playoff. They have to try and make a run for these kids. Yeah, they're not going to get these 5-star guys that are going to go wherever they want, but maybe that good 3-star, that solid 3-star kid, you're battling out with other schools that you compete against. A Liberty, because they had a good year last year. Went to the group of 6 games. Tulane, been a solid, good G5 program. That's who you're battling with to get in this college football playoff. kids, if they were to take less money, would go to a bigger school to try to potentially um, make money, but also continue to get developed, or they would go to take lesser money for continued development. That's how Alabama was able to do it for the last few years. The Nick Saban effect of we'll take less, get developed, and we'll make more because we're going to be first round pick in the NFL draft. But I don't understand why he said that if he's going to follow through with that, because you have a chance to get in the playoffs, and schools like Liberty and Tulsa, Tulane, UNLV, people you're competing against are not willing to say, nah, I'm not going to pay for that player. Yeah, they'll pay, and they want to try to make a run. And also, you as like a head coach, don't you want to get to a bigger program? Don't you want to be at a bit bigger, better school that's a Power 5 school? You're going to have to play that game there. So you might as well play that game at Boise State. I don't know. I don't understand it, but it's something, especially the way college football is now. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at Lock It Up Media. That's Lock It Up Media on Twitter. You can also check us out at E5280 Sports. That's E5280 Sports. I'm Locke Hoover. You've been listening to Lock It Down Sports. Talk to you next week.